Today we have Sean Kassoff and Jasmina Mueller with Titan Cloud to discuss all things storage. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I'm going to just start it off because I know we have 30 minutes and I don't want to go death by PowerPoint here. I'm Jasmina Mueller. I am the Chief Ecosystem Officer here at Titan. And what we'll do is I'll quickly just cover the agenda to make sure that we cover all the high level items, and we can always do a follow-up with anyone that needs any additional information. But we're going to do some high level introductions, a little bit about the storage industry, get into our overall Titan channel sales process. And then Sean's going to cover more around the product overview and then some of our customer profiles and some success stories that we've had. So with that said, this is more of the executive team and who and what we do here at Titan. We've got our CEO, Rory, as mentioned, Sean and I, and then we have Brian, who is our head of engineering IT. And then we also have the rock star, Laura, as our director for customer success. So that way, anytime any opportunities come in and those clients start utilizing the Titan storage, you have someone like Laura to be there through the entire customer journey. So a little bit about Titan. We've got 5 pillars here, and a lot of this has to do around with the fact that, and I'm going to mention this many times, we are 100% channel-led, channel-first, no conflict. We don't have a direct sales team. So the integrity and the trust there is built on the fact that I've been in the channel for quite some time, as Sean has well. So we understand some of the core values and principles around us as a company and working directly with partners such as you. And so a lot of our business aspects as well is around the innovation around storage. A lot of people are going to say, well, what's your key differentiator? We are very much a storage company of the future, I guess you could call it. We understand a lot of your clients' needs and what they're looking for. And I know Sean's going to kind of go more into what are some of our key differentiators, but I'll just mention really at a high level. A lot of this has to do with the competition out there has been around for quite some time. They have some of the market share, but clearly we've been getting a lot of feedback from partners saying some of the challenges that they're having and some of those challenges that their customers are bringing back to them, of which is price, of which is having a multi-regional aspect, as well as customer success. So a lot of other companies out there claim that they have the best customer success journey, but we actually have partners who have expressed that back to us and saying, you clearly do understand what our clients' needs are. So the innovation there is something that's of high trust and integrity, as well as the client satisfaction, like I said, and then the quality of our performance from what we've heard as well, based on the competition. So as mentioned, Sean's going to cover a little bit more in the product depth and the infrastructure itself. Our partner program, fairly new, yes. I've done, as I've mentioned to quite a few people, for those who know me, I've been with about 3 different startups in the past and have built different partner programs. And so coming to Titan, we decided that we're going to go ahead and level up, basically differentiate ourselves amongst the pack. And our number one, like I said, we're 100% channel. So everything that we do is based off of the feedback and the insights that you can provide back to us. And we are always there to make sure that we do what you guys need. It's more of an extension of your business that we're here for. So we're in the process of completing our partner portal, of which once that's done, you will have access to that portal as if it's just one single sign-on. Any assets that you may need as you guys are going out there to your customers. We have different program tracks. And what that means is we work with everyone from the TSDs to the distribution type companies, MSPs, VARs directly, as well as wholesale and then white labeling down the line as well. So every type of partnership has a different business model, but each one comes down to being simplistic in nature. And then, like I said, our focus is driving that growth between you guys and us. We are not as successful if you guys aren't there as well. So whatever your needs are for your customers, we're there. Not to mention some of the partner benefits overall. So as I've said, 100% channel. Our alignment is to you. So if you have an opportunity, what we'll do is make sure that we're there to provide any support you need. If you're hesitant on an opportunity and you're not sure what type of questions to ask, we have that. Our ability to be on those calls with you as well is what we're here for. We don't expect you guys to go out there and try to find a customer and come back and say, I don't know if this is a fit, we're willing to get on that call with you so that you can kind of hear some of the discovery questions that we're asking the customers, some of the key words that we're, kind of talking about, then eventually you'll be able to self-sufficiently go out there and then just bring the opportunities and say, look, this is ready. I just need a quote. Let's go. We've got product specialists that we're always willing to get on a call if you guys need any additional information about the infrastructure, about the storage industry itself. And then we're also open to being on calls to kind of give you guys more of that roadmap. What is it that we are trying to accomplish over the next 6 months, a year, 3, 5 years down the line, and really working to see how the industry is being built and where it's going. Beta programs. We're always looking to see what more we need to do to differentiate ourselves, which in turn will help differentiate your business alongside your clients. As far as profitability, for you guys, we have a deal registration, market development funds, marketing materials, and sales incentives, which I'll kind of cover at a high level. But from a deal registration perspective, I know every company has deal regs. They have a link and what have you. We do have a deal reg. We're going to have that link also readily available once the partner portal comes up. So that way, as you get in that portal, you guys will be able to see any and all of the opportunities or leads that you brought, where the opportunity stands from a high level. And then eventually we're going to get into what that portal is going to be able to do down the line. And I'll cover that in a second here. Market development funds. We are always open to seeing what we can do to help you guys, whether that is putting together an end user event. We've had a few of our partners say, look, we're going to do a CIO summit. We need Titan to kind of be there to support us in that summit where there's going to be CIOs and we need them to understand how we partner together. We're open to doing that. Everything that we're trying to accomplish together from a marketing perspective really comes down to what type of materials you guys are going to need. As I mentioned, in the partner portal itself, we will have an asset library that you guys can download immediately as you're talking to clients or prospects that are wanting to learn more about Titan. Sales incentives. We have one going on this quarter. Sean, again, will cover that mostly, but the incentive is what we call storage in a box. And it's very simple. Just try to get to go to market and get some, quick hits on the way, but we're always open to hearing what other incentives you guys feel would be helpful to kind of grow the sales from both sides. And then lastly, the co-branded materials. We're working with quite a few companies right now, partners that are wanting to do a co-brand campaign. Give you some examples where if we're working together on potential opportunities that you guys are selling with another supplier, let's say it's UCAS, and you are doing a lot of UCAS type sales, but you also want to include Titan, we're more than happy to kind of do some creative ways of working together on those types of opportunities together and putting co-branded materials as well. Any questions so far? I think we said we were going to wait till the end, but I just want to make sure. Okay. To kind of continue from the partner program, we do have sales training. If anyone needs to get a little more in depth with the storage, we're more than happy to put together some webinars. We, in fact, are working on what we're going to call monthly webinars. It's a, did you know? And it could be anything from, did you know about Titan's new features and benefits? Did you know this is happening in the cloud industry, or excuse me, in the storage industry? Did you know anything, any types of topics we think are going to be worthwhile for you to understand as you're talking to potential prospects, and how you can gain a more in-depth knowledge of the storage industry? We're going to start doing that probably in the next 60 days. We're going to pick one day out of the month, and it's going to be that particular day, and you're welcome to join us anytime. Put it in your calendar so you know that it's there. And then we kind of go from there. We take the feedback as far as what more would you guys like to see on these webinars. But this is something that we're going to start doing for a few months just to get everybody kind of acclimated to the storage industry itself. As mentioned, we also have pre-sale specialists, technical in nature. That way, if you guys are on calls that you really need someone that's a little more technical, we have that individual that will be more than willing to get on a call and help kind of guide that prospect to a opportunity and eventually to a close. As I mentioned, the partner portal, there's going to be a lot of things in there. There's going to be like that single sign-on. It'll be directly from our website. You'll go in, you'll have your own login. You'll have a dashboard that can provide you the asset library, some training material, any calendar events that are happening, any videos that we have coming up about the storage industry. There's going to be a lot basically for you at your fingertips to go in, take a look at. And of course, eventually, as we're working on this, when you guys are actually taking those opportunities and they become orders, you will be able to see the status of those orders. We're definitely working on that. And that's something I'm really excited about, because I know we keep hearing it from partners saying, am I able to see where's, what the order's doing, where we're at? Now, the good news is these orders don't take that long. And that's something I definitely want Sean to kind of cover, but it's something that I think you guys will be really impressed with. But overall, there will be some tracking and reporting as we start to kind of move along with more of the opportunities that come to fruition. But that's definitely something we're working on from a partner portal. It's not like your typical one that you just kind of go in, deal reg, and that's it. There will be quite a few things on there for you guys. Then one last slide before I give this off to Sean. So as far as the cloud, the storage industry itself, it is growing. And I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with one of the chief analysts out there, Jay McBain, that he is always up there saying, where we're at with security, where are we at with overall network. And storage seems to be a topic of discussion lately, because the market right now in the next, I'd say 6 to 7 years, is supposed to exceed close to 500 billion. So literally, when you think about it, this market is not even that penetrated. We have so much to go after that the best way to do that is with you guys. And so I'm not going to go into all of the items here, but I think the biggest one is everybody is aware AI is growing exponentially. You think about that, companies out there utilizing AI, there's video surveillances utilizing AI. How much data that takes and how much data that needs to be stored is insane. And so we as a company are really kind of looking at customers utilizing that AI or the IoT, anything around video, anything around data that needs to be dumped, as I say, needs storage, and it needs to be placed somewhere. So we're really trying to focus with a lot of the partners like yourselves on that AI, which is going to play a real crucial role in optimizing those storage systems. So we're going to give this presentation to you guys so you guys can take a look at it more, because I don't want to deep dive too much. But this is where cloud storage is going. It's the next best thing, and it's going to grow exponentially. So Sean, you are up as far as talking about the product itself and kind of going from there.
Perfect. Thank you, Jasmina, for covering all that. And yeah, just to piggyback off of what Jasmina was talking about in regards to the opportunity in the storage market. It has been very underserved within the channel industry, primarily because AWS, Azure, and GCP own about 99.5% of the storage market. So with that in mind, that is essentially why we have built this organization, and we've built a lot of the product sets and offerings and features that I'll be discussing here in a minute to mirror and exceed some of the expectations around storage requirements that our competition provides. So just to kind of jump into it, I want to talk a little bit about our technology, our infrastructure. We'll dive into the product and benefits, and then we'll have a few things to circle back with you guys at the end. So just a quick high level of our infrastructure and our topology. So currently, we are in 2 remote geographically dispersed data centers, one in Dallas and one in Los Angeles. We will be opening our 3rd data center sometime Q4. So ultimately, the key benefits of that are having streamlined data distribution, across multiple locations, right? In the event of a natural disaster, power outage, or some other catastrophe, we want to make sure that your data is guaranteed to be preserved and you've always got access to it. So at the end of the day, most carriers out there are going to have geographically dispersed data centers, right? That's not new to anybody. One of the things where we really make this fit into the agent community, the end user community, there's limited amount of competition, obviously, within the channel. But one thing that we do a little bit differently when it comes to accessing multi-region resilient infrastructure is our competition will make you sign up for multiple accounts, and then you have to go in and spin up a bunch of instances on the back end, do a bunch of back end configuration. Ours are geo-redundant by default. So if you decide that you want to go with the multi-region service with us, there's no additional configuration on the back end required. So again, just makes the onboarding process for our partners and our end users that more seamless. Jasmine, if you can go to the next slide. Just a little bit of information on our infrastructure. All of our data centers exceed tier 1 requirements. So as far as the capacity and density and reliability of our infrastructure, it definitely is going to exceed most organizations' requirements. We do provide 11 nines of data durability. So we built in that resiliency at every single layer, right, to make sure that we have continuity in the event of equipment failure or something were to happen at that local data center. We make sure that we've got backups for our backups to make sure, again, that all of our clients have access to their secure data. AI driven, I won't dive through all of these because we're short on time, but everything is monitored and driven by our AI powered security. So we can identify IP reputation, traffic patterns, brute force, and DDoS, right? Just giving an extra layer of security by default to our end users. And then the biggest thing, and I'll dive into here in a minute, just for those that are unfamiliar with S3 and buckets and what exactly that means, I'll kind of give a little bit of a background on that in a second. But simple migration process with us, we easily plug into AWS existing ecosystems. So that migration and integration portion is extremely seamless and effortless on behalf of our customers. Jasmine. So right here, the biggest thing is we are compliant. We maintain all regulatory clients that are going to be most impacted within the storage industry. So SOC 2, PCI, HIPAA. We are going through the finalizing of our ISO 27001 certification, so we will have that as well. So all of those will be covered. So legal, medical, retail are all going to be different areas where we can really make sure we come in and maintain their regulatory obligations as they navigate this storage journey. So I won't dive into this. Versioning and mutability, right? Those are additional features that we provide. I'll dive into that just here in a second. Biggest thing here I want to point out is we do maintain all compliances and auditing for these specific security compliances. All right, next. So S3 buckets, right? We can kind of dive into that in a minute, but the main thing I want you guys to know is every organization has data, right? And I think the reason that some of this industry has been neglected is because it drives a larger conversation. But as Jasmina alluded to earlier, right, the scale and the growth of the data industry is going to pay massive commissions to agents and our partners because it's an organic growth mechanism, right? No one's ever going to have less data today, tomorrow. So that's one of those things that's just going to organically grow over time. So when we're talking to our customers and our partners and end users, every application requires data storage in some capacity. So we've seen a lot of success in contact center storage, right? A lot of contact centers, that's not their core offering. So be able to supplement that, especially if they need longer retention periods for that storage. It's a great additional complementary backup solution for their contact center. Security video, we do have a lot of people are wanting to go back into kind of a hybrid environment. So we can work with cloud-based NAS if need be. One of the things that Jasmine hit on earlier as far as the beta programs. The wonderful thing about the way we're structured is we're a very nimble organization, right? We always want to find a way to win the business with our partners and our clients. So when it comes to storage, we'll address everything. We can run it through an ICB process if it fits into our model and it's something that we need to think outside the box on to create a solution set for, we can definitely accommodate that. So as these conversations are driven in the future, don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we can put our heads together and figure out a way to build something that will fit the customer's requirements. Just a quick little probing question, right? If they're deploying applications on premise or in the cloud, what are their processes or what are they doing to store that data? All right, next. So one thing I wanted to talk about, and for you guys that aren't familiar with S3, right? So you can really think of S3 buckets as a storage hub, somewhat similar to a file folder, but without strict order or limits. So typically it's the smart choice for storage. If you have a lot of growing unstructured data, things like multimedia files, log files, text documents, web pages. But as we talked about earlier, one of the driving forces of the storage industry is going to be more AI, machine learnings, IoT, and other big data solutions that are going to require tons and tons of storage requirements. And the great thing is we're 100% hot cloud storage. So with our built out S3 APIs, we treat all data as hot, so we can accommodate cold storage, right, as part of our platform. But our focus is to make sure that all organizations have immediate access to that data. If an organization's hit with ransomware and they've got their stuff sitting in Glacier, and it takes them 48 hours, 72 hours because that information is sitting on a disk somewhere in AWS, that can be detrimental to a business, right? Its reputation, its impacts on security requirements for its customers. There's image, right? There's a lot of things that are detrimental to that, having your stuff into cold storage. And the way our pricing is set, we still are very competitive compared to Glacier storage. So I won't dive through all of these, but affordability, flexibility, right? A lot of our competition, they require, if you upload data, that it sits there for 90 days, or they hit you with massive egress fees. We don't do that, right? We're not putting any restrictions on how long your data has to sit with us, so it creates flexibility. And then obviously features by default, which I'll show you real quickly here in a second on the security side. Simplicity, we built everything out. Code is embedded in our UI, so there's no back-end coding. If you guys have ever dealt with AWS, it's about a 1,200-page code manuscript that you need to learn to be able to set up a lot of the policies and features. So we've simplified that within our user interface. And then, like we talked about, all the compliances are kept up to date on our end. All right, next. Here's just a high-level snapshot of Titan versus AWS. So, one of the biggest advantages of us is, like I said, we include all features, the majority of Shield-like features by default. So I won't go through each one individually, but you can see it's a long list of security features that we include at no additional cost. Okay. And one thing to highlight here, price, right? You never want to sell on price, but at some point it is the elephant in the room. One of the biggest things that we've seen from the agent community is they try to grow their portfolio of business. If they can come in and save a customer, whatever this is, $175,000 a year on only 100 terabytes of data, that allows the organization to reinvest into other revenue generating operations within the business. So our price per gigabyte and the fact that we don't charge egress or API transaction makes us a more predictable and a cost-effective solution for our clients. And then as Jasmine alluded to, we are running a promotion right now for all of our partners to simplify our go-to-market process or strategy. So kind of categorize this in 3 different buckets. We can definitely send this out. I won't dive into it too much, but there are some additional spiffs associated with these on the 50 terabyte, 100 terabyte, and 300 terabyte offerings, all multi-region. And you can kind of see the pricing component that's attached to it as well. And we will be happy to shoot this out.
Sorry.
All right, so we've got 5 minutes left. We always want to give a little thanks for the people that showed up. So we're going to give away 2 $50 gift cards to the first 2 people that can answer question 1 and question 2 in our chat. Question 1, what type of opportunity should Titan Cloud Storage be brought into? And question 2, what is one differentiator of Titan Cloud Storage?
Okay, we'll give it a couple seconds here so people can reply. Yeah. In the meantime, we do have one question for you. They would like you to review how Titan compares to Salesforce storage.
Salesforce storage, that would probably be more of an engineering question for me. I do know at the end of the day, it's object storage, right? So you put an object in an endpoint, it's stored. So however it is ingested, it's going to remain that way, if that makes sense. The biggest component there is going to be the price point, right? I think Salesforce outside of their standard storage offering is like 9 cents a gig, whereas we're 0.05 cents a gig. So they've got real-time access to that data whenever they want, just as they would in Salesforce's environment. But you're paying about 90% less just to have that data retrievable and a more, like I said, in a resilient setting, right? So not only using Salesforce, but you got some redundancy built in from a backup perspective, if that makes sense.
Okay, and another question we got is, can you go through your process you have to support a customer hit by ransomware?
So yeah, so we've got a, sorry, I thought Jasmine was going to speak up. So yes, we've got immutability and versioning built in, right? So it is an automatic toggle. So as long as that button is clicked when they create the buckets and they're doing that ingestion of data, they will always have access to that data, regardless if they're hit with ransomware or not, because it's set with our immutability. So that data cannot be deleted, it can't be edited, it can't be touched. So no matter what, the ransomware attack is effortless because they will always have access to that data on our platform. And it's whatever versioning feature they put on, if that makes sense from a mutability perspective.
Okay, great. And third question is, compare and contrast you versus Azure and AWS. Do you have materials to look at this?
Yes, we've got some materials that we can provide around that. So Azure is obviously, they've got their own infrastructure. They are not S3. So it's a little bit different. But at the end of the day, when it comes to AWS, like we'd mentioned earlier, right, the feature sets that are included on there, it's not coding, right? So everything is pre-scripted in our infrastructure to be able to migrate that data over. And when it comes to AWS, when you're getting feature set to feature set, it really comes down, and I'd say it down to price, right? If you can have your data sitting in a hot environment for, 85% less with all the shield-like features and access, at that point, it's really just, it's a operational cost decision.
Okay.
All the shield-like features are the same.
And we do have one more question, but in the meantime, I want to review your trivia questions here so we can get some answers. Question 1 is, what type of opportunity should Titan Cloud Storage be brought in? And question number 2 is, what is one differentiator of Titan Cloud Storage? So, and our last question here is, can we review a recent win with Titan versus Azure and AWS?
I definitely can. So prime example is we had a client that was, and I don't know how familiar you guys are with some of the AWS infrastructure, right? They've got a lot of built-in APIs and products that sit in the background, Lambda, Kinesis, and our ability to migrate. So they're an AI company that generates a lot of data, and they unfold some of that stuff into these back-end APIs, which we fully can exist in. So for that point, to what I was speaking about earlier, it really came down to a cost structure. And at that point, being able to utilize all the same infrastructure, applications, and APIs that exist currently, we were able to migrate them over. I think they were spending roughly about $200,000 a year. And we were able to provide everything that they existing for about, I think it came out to like $78,000 less because of some egress stuff. So again, it's all in existence. It's just moving the data. And one thing I want to make clear real quick, because I know we're on the time. So we are the storage endpoint, right? So we integrate with pretty much all backup orchestrations, Veeam, MSP 360, Axient, whatever else is out there. So we can be that endpoint for all storage, just so we're clear on the product perspective. Just want to make sure we throw that out there so there's no confusion.